Peace, 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 and much love, family. It's your partner in purpose, D Brown, and welcome to the Uncaged Potential Podcast. This is the place where we unlearn limiting beliefs, unleash our God given potential, and uncage the greatness that's already within us. Today, I'm joined with a very powerful, powerful brother. When I say powerful, I mean powerful brother, and even with an even more powerful testimony. Dr. Josias Jean Pierre is a nationally recognized keynote speaker, award winning author, and youth consultant who transforms adversity into advantage, both on stage and also in his personal life. Man. But, one thing I like about this guy, man, he has over 13 years experience speaking across schools, colleges, corporations, and conferences. Dr. Jean Pierre doesn't just inspire, he delivers lasting transformation. His message is rooted in a radical resilience, transparency, and unwavering faith, helping students tap into their full potential, equipping educators to lead with empathy and vision, and guiding professionals to lead with purpose despite obstacles. His story and impact have earned him national recognition from Forbes, Yahoo Finance, Business Elite 40 Under 40, and three, not one, not two, but three Presidential Lifetime Achievement Awards. Named one of the top 10 most inspirational African Americans of 2021 alongside Ice Cube, and regarded as a speaker shaping the next future to legends like Les Brown. Dr. Jean Pierre brings more than a message, he brings measurable breakthrough. Man, please, please, please give it up to my brother, Dr. Josias Jean Pierre. Welcome, 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 brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed, man. I'm thankful for another day, another episode. Man, thank you so much for being here, brother.
Anything for a result, man. When I realized you were also a result, I said, yeah, I got to. I got to.
A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know. I'm actually Haitian. I'm Haitian American. For those who don't know, what Dr. Josiah is saying, a Zo is another word for a Haitian brother. I'm definitely a Haitian man. So for all my Haitians, sac passe. We blessed over here, man. There we go, brother. And shout out to Team Haiti. I know right now we taking it all the way. Haitian, let's go. 100%, let's do it, brother.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, man. With that same energy, man, I usually I go right into asking questions, but I want I want the people who are listening, the audience, to essentially know a bit more about you, Dr. Josiah. So I'm gonna ask you a few rapid fire questions. And I ask in this little exercise we're doing, just whatever the first question that comes to mind, or the first answer that comes to mind rather, just shoot it out. Just whatever comes to mind, just give it to us so we can better understand who Dr. Josiah is. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right, now some of these questions, might catch you left, on the left side, left field, but I promise you, man, it's powerful stuff. So, first question I have for you: what's a fear that you've recently conquered?
The fear I recently conquered,
Mm-hmm.
seeing a therapist.
Ooh. Okay. We're gonna get into that. What's something people often misunderstand about you?
That I'm heartless.
Mm, that you're heartless. Okay. 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 When do you feel most authentic?
I want to say every day, but the most authentic, because I feel like no matter where I'm at, I'm gonna be myself, no matter where I'm at. But with like-minded people.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. Okay, okay. What's a belief what's a belief you've changed your mind about?
A belief that I changed my mind about was shifting my mindset from being limited to being limitless.
Mm,
I always had a belief that, okay, when the voices of others play in your head so much, and you can't, that becomes out in your head until I realize that I'm called to be a breakthrough. So from being limited to limitless.
Come on, brother. I love it. I love it, man. I love it. I love it. Oh man, this last one, I'm gonna reserve this one for a little later on because I think this one will bring it home for some of our viewers today. But again, Dr. Josiah, thank you so much for being here, man. You know, for those who don't know, Dr. Josiah, unfortunately, you know, like growing up, he's experienced some things, right? And he'll share with you in a bit. One of the things that I know you've shared with me personally is that you grew up with certain mental conditions. What are some of the things that you grew up with? Some of the things that hindered you growing up, Dr. Josiah?
Yeah, I had epilepsy. I had seizures. So
Wow.
that impacted the electrical activity of your brain, where it impacts how often you can obtain information. So when my left brain was working, my right brain wasn't, and vice versa. When my right brain was working, my left brain wasn't working. My first 13 years of my life, I was in on the hospital bed. Like the hospital was like my second home.
Wow.
And to the point because episodes of epilepsy could happen over and over and over and over again. And because of that, I fell into I fell into a special education, had an IEP, individual education plan, being told by peers and teachers, educators, hey, you can't become what you say you want to become, which is writing,
Wow.
becoming a speaker. So the voices of others were very loud, bowel depression, because I was the only one in my family who had a disability, and so it began to treat it different because you're different,
Yeah.
and like I was an outcast, you
Yeah.
know. And the thing about growing up is we always hear boys don't cry. Hey, fake it till you make it. In the Haitian household, we have three L's in the Haitian household: leg leaves, lick on like I, which
Right.
church,
Church,
school,
school.
and home, right?
Yeah. Uh huh.
It was
Hmm.
also a thing where if you don't stop crying, like something to cry about, and become a saint in the household also, where your emotionalness, you don't know how to tap to that emotionalness. I'm grateful that I don't look like what I've been through. Just
Hmm.
looking at somebody who attempted 3 suicide attempts.
Ooh. Let's slow it down for a second, brother. For those who were kind of paying attention, and just heard what you said, kind of heard what you said. Slow it down one more time. You said you had how many suicide attempts?
3.
3.
Yeah.
So, and I do apologize for stopping you. So, when people hear suicide, you know, we turn on the news, you know, people are constantly talking about suicide or homicide, whatever. You know, what brought you to that point, brother? Because I know, again, you went through what you went through, but what brought you to that point where you considered, you know, taking your own life?
It started off as a child. I witnessed domestic violence at home where my dad beat my mom. To where I was 5 years old. I remember trying to stop my dad from hitting my mom. He said, "Don't ever call me that, not your dad. Call me pastor." So I grew up with this big hurt, this big wound of being fatherless. And I grew up hurting other people because I was hurt. And
Wow.
you don't know how to say help because you were told at a young age that, hey, suck it up, fake it till you make it. So it
Yeah.
ran with me. I always say my mother was my mother, my mother was my father. But on top of that, I was handicapped. I was limited. You hear words at home that from family, and the same words from home is being validated from the outside from peers and educators. So it got to a point where I started to believe that I'm an accident. I started to believe I'm not fit for
Wow.
this world. I started to believe that I'm not capable enough because of what's happening to me. And you would think that, hey, the young boy who was rashing out, who was acting out, who was hurting other people, hurt people, hurt people.
Hurt
Um,
people hurt people.
and because I was so hurt, no one ever asked me, hey, what's wrong? Are you okay? All they did was punish me more and more and more and more, to the point where I ran away from home. I ran away from home for a couple of days. And when I came back home, the question wasn't, oh, why did you go home? There was, hey, belt, get on your knees, but I should do, beat, 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 beat. My first suicide attempt, I was in high school. I was 16 years old. I was in high school. I ran across the street from heavy incoming traffic, and I made it to the other side. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. My second suicide attempt. I there's a drink out here in Washington called Drool drink. Basically, it was a marijuana drink, and I do photography also. And I chugged that drink, and people were like, "Hey, do not drink that. Do not drink that. You don't smoke. You don't do any of that stuff. Do not drink that at all." But I chugged that drink so fast that my heart started beeping, and before you know it, I woke up in the back of the. I woke up in a hospital with breathing tubes.
Wow, wow, wow,
My
wow.
mother had to come and see me, and I wanted to die that day. Literally, the song, the worship song, "Is Your Breath in Our Lungs, we pour out our praise, pour out our praise." Those were the only words that was left that I could not say out of my mouth. And all of a
Mm.
sudden, there was heat that flew from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, and
Wow.
I was like, "Okay, God, I don't know what this is." And my third suicide attempt, I recently told my brothers of this incident, being attempted suicide. They never knew. My closest brother never knew.
Wow.
My third suicide attempt, I had my brother's car, and you would thought, "Oh, he just got to an accident." I drove to the incoming traffic full speed and the airbag popped out of my brother's car. Car's crushed in. And you would have thought, like, how did the driver survive? I came off the car, no damages, and I was like, God, why am I here?
Wow.
God, I'm tired. And I'm gonna get emotional talking about this. God, I'm wounded. Like, why am I here? Because the thing is, no one ever tells you that the pain walks with you in life. No one
Mm.
tells you that if you don't face a giant at a young age or whenever it started, it will
It's gonna
kill
keep
you
coming back.
and it will eat you. And it was eating me alive. Hey,
Wow.
I'm a young individual, born in Haiti, grew up in America, an immigrant, ESL, ELL, special education, IEP, the only one in my family who is different, the only one in my family who gets talked, who is casted out because of being different.
Yeah.
And I'm going to school, and school is saying the same messages that my parents are telling me.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, where do I fit in? And I'm just like, it wasn't eventually where I was like, okay, God, I'm tired. God, I'm super tired. Like, why am I here?
Right.
God gave me this vision of like at 13 of traveling, speaking, doing all this stuff. But
Mhm.
I was like, am I even fit? And it was hard for me to believe God is a father to the fatherless when the man who's preaching your word just told me don't call him into my dad. So if he's not my dad, who's my dad?
Man. That's good. That's good right there. That's good right there. You know, as you were talking earlier, Dr. Josiah, I always think about how when we see people, whether it be people at our jobs, our family members, even people in the streets, and we'll say things like, "Hey, how are you?" And we just keep on going. Oftentimes, we don't take a second to actually listen to the response. "Hey, how's it going?" "Hey, hey," and we just keep going. How important is it for us to actually stop and listen to people's responses? Because I can imagine, in those times where you were experiencing what you were experiencing, if somebody had actually stopped and really, was discerning, was really picking up on what you were going through, you know, you probably could have prevented yourself from, or at least you could avoid going in that direction. How important is it for someone to actually stop and pay attention to another person?
Oh, it's very important. You know, um, you listening could be the breakthrough for that person.
It's
And when I say listening, I'm referring to listen to how it's being said.
Mhm.
Um, and look at the body language.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Nonverbal communication.
over
Absolutely.
communication.
Mhm.
And if you know the person, sense their energy. Those speaks volume. And so often we could say we're doing good. Okay, that's good, and we
Mhm.
keep pushing.
Mhm.
And I will say this: I have a mentor in my life who came into my life at a young age. And he took me under his wings. So it's like a father-son relationship. His name is Rashad Norris, and this man took me under his wings and really um gave me the tools that I need. And when he was like, "Listen, bro, I see you," that was a different language.
Wow.
I see you, man. Like, I know you're not doing okay. Talk to me. What's wrong? How can I be there for you, man? And I could tell he was sincere. And it was because of him is the reason why I go down the elevator and give the same energy to everybody else down the elevator.
Mhm. What are some of the other things that, if you don't mind, I know that this is something that your mentor has shared with you, but what's some of the things that your mentor, your coach said to you, that essentially brought you to where you are today? Some of the things that we can glean from today.
You're not a mistake. And here's the thing that brought me, man, um, the very things that I was validating that everybody was telling me, he was speaking different.
Mhm,
And he's like, when he first met me, he was like, "Hey man, I don't know you like that, man, but I want you to understand that you are designed for something great. You're not a mistake. And I don't know what anybody's been telling over your life. I know people trying to speak over your life. I want you to understand that you're here for a reason, and I'm proud of you, and I love you."
mhm,
Those were words that I was like, "What?" I'm not. I was. It was foreign to me. And I
mhm,
remember the first hug he gave me. All I could do was weep and cry because I was like, "Man." And that was an angel sent by God because now it's like and now it's been 20 plus years and it's really, with him and I in a relationship. And in that 20 years, it was like every time we got on the phone, it's like, yo, were you like in my backyard? Because we
mhm. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it, bro. I get it. There are some people in my life that I'm blessed and fortunate to have to been had engaged with over my life. A quick shout out, my former youth pastor, Pastor Henri Jacques Jr. He's former. He passed away some years ago, but I remember. I remember, I was a very awkward kid growing up, very awkward, had a lot of different things going on. And I remember he pulled me aside and, he would always tell me, Don, just have some more confidence, man. He would always give me like these, encouraging words and it wasn't just about the encouragement, but it was the fact that he took the time to pull me aside and to speak to me man to man. Like, hey, I see you. But very much so to what your mentor did for you. I see you. You are, important. You are good. You are this, you are that. And oftentimes, people just need that. People just need someone to not fill you up with fluff, but to remind you who you actually are. I think that, a lot of times, especially in this culture that we live in where, we want to show people that we're something, we look on social media and we see a lot of fluff. We see a lot of fake. We see a lot of shallow things. And it's like people want to portray this image of something they're not. And most of the time they do that because one, they don't really know who they are on the inside, but two, they're not content with who they believe they are. What would you say to somebody, who feels that way, who feels like they're not content with who they are, or they don't have an understanding of who they are? What would you say to that person today?
whew, good question. What I would tell that person is this: even though you don't know who you are or why you're here, I want you to understand that you're born on purpose, for a purpose, and with a purpose.
For purpose, on purpose, with a purpose. What if the person says to you, that sounds nice after Josiah, but what purpose? My mother, she's been, beating me since I was a child. My dad, he's a deadbeat, and, I'm not doing good in school, and the kids keep making fun of me, because I know that you also coach and oftentimes you speak at high schools and junior high. What if a kid comes up to you and says something like that? What is a good response to them? What is something that you would say to them to essentially shake them out of that mindset?
Every diamond has to get pressured. Every diamond has to be cut. And I'll tell that young man and that young individual, I've been in your shoes. Now we're
Hmm.
talking connected. I know how it feels like to feel overlooked, to feel like you were being rejected, abandoned, neglected, everything. But it's what happened on the other side that makes it more beautiful.
Yeah.
And I had to make sure you gotta make sure what you tell yourself is not confirming what others are telling you.
Mhm.
And you have to also confirm make sure that what you believe about you is different from how others believe about you. Because what
Mm.
happens in the present moment. It's about how do you respond to what happens in the present moment. And
Yes.
because you've been in this moment, I'm gonna take you under my wings and we will do this together.
Mhm.
We'll do
Mhm.
this together. And this is what I do for all the kids that I mentor who's been in these shoes, who's been in my shoes, I've been in their shoes. That tell them, hey, we'll do this together. If you feel neglected, if you feel like you want to hurt yourself, I'm one call away. Give me a call and I will always answer.
Ooh,
Because at the end of the day, I know how it's like to be in your shoes. And
yeah.
when I do it that way, because what people don't want to hear fluff.
No.
People want to hear how can you help me? And the
Exactly.
best part about the best part about our testimony is there's healing in your story.
Absolutely.
So then you get inspired because, hey, if you could do it,
Mhm.
and that becomes a different language. So I'll
Yes.
tell a young individual, look, I've been where you've been. And that gives me
Mm.
an opportunity to share my story with them. Because people see all the accolades and all the recognitions, but you don't know the process and how to endure the tears, the depression, the mental illness, the battles behind the scenes that you don't see. Now let me go ahead and bring it to the forefront so as you can see behind every jewel there's a diamond. Before the diamond manifests, I have to go through some things.
Ooh, man. Earlier you used the word neglect. And, you know, when I think about neglect, I think about the word seclusion, being left alone. And, oftentimes, we just now we're talking about the importance of um, putting other people under your wing, encouraging them, validating them. But there also comes a time where the individual has to be in a space by themselves, in a place where they are alone for them to grow. We see this in nature. We see when we take a seed, we plant it, and it's by itself, right? It's in the dirt. And after some time, the seed, after it's planted, it goes through something called a dormancy period, where eventually it breaks open, it releases what it needs to release. Then you see you see the roots, you see the stem, you see the leaf, and you see the fruit, and so on and so forth, right? You see this with the caterpillar, it goes into the cocoon, and then it becomes a beautiful butterfly. How important is it for individuals, whether it be that same young man who's in junior high school going through a tough time, or to a 35, 36, 38, 45, 55-year-old man? How important is it for an individual to experience seclusion in order for them to experience a transformation or experience greatness in their life?
Yeah, good question. What I would say is it depends on what you're secluding from and of. And what I mean by that is I don't want you to be so secluded that your mental health and whatever you're going through is overpowering how far you move.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
don't want you to be so secluded that you don't feel like you have community. And I feel like a lot of times when we go through that mental spot, when we go through that process and we get to this point of feeling what we're feeling, we seclude ourselves because, not for a positive reason, but because we feel like, hey, we're not here, we're just here, nobody loves us, nobody want to see us grow. So it's important to be secluded, but if you're secluded because of the feelings of abandonment, I don't
mhm,
need you secluded. I need you to call our community. I want
mhm,
you to call on friends and family. I want you to call. As a matter of fact, outside of that, it is okay to say, I need help. Go see your therapist. Now, when it comes to growth and when it comes to development, when it comes to next level, yes, go ahead and seclude yourself in that process. And if you're going to seclude yourself, start thinking and writing down ideas of how can you execute, because the magic happens behind the scenes.
mm.
The work happens when no one is looking. The transformation that happens when it's you, because in the Bible, I'm a man of faith, and the Bible says, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks."
Yes,
So
sir.
therefore, in difficult times, that's the way you'll see what's really in your heart. So sometimes you have to seclude yourself so you can have a heart fix and a heart posture that will shift. So then you can go ahead and manifest something different on the outside.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. So just now you mentioned, you mentioned a few times throughout our conversation the importance of faith, right? Faith in the Creator, faith in the Most High. How important is, or how important was faith in your transformation?
Man, faith was a center of
Yeah,
my transformation. You know,
really. Yeah.
it came from me just going to church just to say, "Hey, I'm here," to when God delivered me from epilepsy and I realized it was God who healed me. I said, "God, I give my life to you." Right? Then I realized that the attack got stronger. When I gave my life to God, the attack got stronger and the enemy was attacking way much more where it felt better if I was in the world. you know, and the thing I realized is um, the thing I realized is when the enemy already got you, he got to mess with you. But if he ain't got you yet and you give up to God, you go from the dark to light, the attack is coming. Um, but faith was really the center stage of my transformation. I think without God, I would never have this transformational story or the transformational life that I have because no matter how many times I let go of him, he never let go of me.
Man, man, that's, thank you so much for saying that. I know a lot of people, they hear stories, the testimonies of people receiving healings and powerful things happening to them, and and then they subscribe to an understanding of faith, and but they don't fully get it, they don't fully submerge into the understanding. What do you say to somebody who says, hey, I tried going to church, I tried playing this kind of music and living this kind of lifestyle, but it just don't work for me? What is something that you would say in regards to that, man? Because like I said, I know not everybody's going to listen to this podcast and say, I don't really believe in what you believe in. But what would you say to somebody in this instance?
Um, Understand the last thing to grow on a tree is the fruit.
Woo! Come on.
It
Come
takes a
on,
while
brother.
for a tree to grow.
That's
And
good.
just because you don't see it instantly, it doesn't
Mm.
mean it's not gonna happen.
Or
Uh,
yeah, or if it's actually there.
yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
And we have to move from the posture of seeing it
Hmm.
to believing it, then we will see it. We always see a full grown tree,
Hmm.
but if you try to grow a tree, you never see a tree actually grow from the bottom up.
Well, sir.
For some reason, you have faith that the tree's gonna grow.
Yep. Yep.
If you do the work and do the process.
Yep. Yep.
And it's the same as church. Now, when I say church, the church is a body, not the building.
Correct.
You know,
Say that one more time for somebody in the back.
the church is the body, not the building.
Yes.
And the church is a hospital for the sick. And everybody is sick some type of way, form, or fashion. If you're not perfect, something was wrong with you. That
Right.
means everybody is dealing with something.
Yeah.
But this is the part that matters most. The something that you're dealing with, God already covered that in the cross.
Hmm.
Um, that's why I say gap since for God already paid. So no matter what it is you're going through, it's already been paid already. So
Hmm.
victory has already been reached. Now all you have to do is accept that
Hmm.
victory
Hmm.
and run with it. And the
Hmm.
other thing I would tell somebody else who says, "Hey man, I've been doing all this stuff. I've been doing this step. I've been going to church. It's not working for me." Everything takes a process. Everything takes time. Everything is a journey. If you're looking for a quick fix, you're not going to see it. Even
No.
working out, you don't see your results 24 hours.
No.
You still go to the gym.
I wish.
You
I
still go to
wish,
the
brother.
gym, you know?
Yeah.
It is the same as working on our faith, working on our faith and doing our process. You may not see anything within 24 hours, but if you keep on going up, if you keep showing up intentionally, you keep gathering believers, you keep you know, being who God called you to be, you will then see the fruit of your labor.
That's good, brother. That's good. That's so good. I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit, just a little bit. One of the things that I was thinking about as you were speaking was, for those same people who are currently going through traumatic experiences, right? Whether it be in their relationship, whether it be, with their parents, at their job, they're in an abusive relationship, and they turn to, let's say they turn to drugs or something that's harming them. Like earlier, you said that you drank something that had you in the hospital. All right. I know you said earlier that you that you encountered that, but what would you say to somebody as a means of pivoting from that, right? What can they do? What are some actionable steps that they can take to putting down those divisive um things, right? For lack of better words, and finding a better way. How can we replace those habits with better habits?
That's a very good question. When it comes to the aspect of replacing those very things that we use to cope, I'm gonna use cope. This is what we do
Mm,
to cope. We cope with our hurt. The first thing is acknowledge there's a problem.
yeah.
The second thing, for you, first thing you have to acknowledge, hey, there was an issue here. The second thing is you have to make a decision. Hey, I don't want this forever.
Hmm.
Now we're talking about legacy long term. Because when you make the decision saying you don't want this, but you gotta cope, at least we can start there.
Yeah.
The third thing is, hey, if you're in narcotics, there's NA meetings in your communities, there's AA
Hmm.
meetings in communities. You want to go ahead and surround yourself with people who overcame the very thing you endured and
Yeah.
be willing to be held accountable in a process for your victory. And the third thing, I know this is not normal and this is not a thing that we don't want to hear in community, is this. It is okay to not be okay.
Mm.
But it's okay to stay not be okay. Which means go invest in therapy. Go
Mm.
see counseling. It's not abnormal. It's humanness. I always think of the story of the guy who's stuck at who's in the water. He's crying out for help and God's in boat number one. He's like, no, 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 I'm waiting on God, I'm waiting on God. God's in boat number two. No, no, I'm waiting on God, I'm waiting on God. God's in boat number three and boat number four. No, no, I'm waiting on God. He goes, God, where are you? I cried out to you, never showed up. And God's like, hey, I sent you four rescuers, and you said no to every single one of them. Your therapist is a rescuer.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
AA meetings are rescuers. These are programs and stuff that you could go ahead and align with that can help you in your breakthrough process. And I think a lot of times what happens is we say yes, God is a healer, that is very true. But then, yeah, we don't want to do the work to the healing process. We just expect healing automatically because God said He's a healer.
Yeah.
But God provides resources that can help you. Why not use your faith to use those things, believing that you'll go ahead and get through whatever you're about to get through?
I totally agree with you, brother. I totally agree. You know, I find that a lot of us, a lot of believers, I'll say specifically, and when I say believers, and believers in the Most High, those we call God, or what may have you. A lot of times we can be very surface level when it comes to beliefs, right? And when I say surface level, I mean we'll pray before we eat, and we say God bless you when we see certain people, and I like to I see it as an old couple that goes to a cruise, right? And they go into the cruise, and they go into the boat, and they go into their cabin, and they get so excited. They pull out their little picnic basket, and they pull out their cheese sandwich, and they eat their cheese sandwich, and they look out the window, and they stay in the cabin all the 7 days that they're on the cruise ship. So that when they come out the cabin at the end of the 7 days, the captain comes out and goes, "Hey, where were you?" And they're like, "What are you talking about? We were in the room the whole time." But the captain's like, "Well, why didn't you enjoy all the rest of the festivities that we had?" It's like, "What are you talking about? We were just glad to be on the ship." But the captain looks at them in confusion because he says, "But every day we have a buffet table. Every day there's a concert going on. Every day there's a pool party. Every day we have karaoke on Friday. We miss out on the point of the story is we miss out on so many things. Nobody goes to the buffet just to eat one little thing. No, we get a plate and we pile it up, right? Or we come back for seconds, and for those that can afford to do that, we'll come back for thirds. But I believe a lot of times believers, and not just believers, but a lot of times we have these resources out here, but we just take the bare minimum that's out there. We don't really partake in what's out there because of ignorance, because of doubt, because of things that our parents have told us, right? And this is a good segue into my next question. How can I frame this? How how big was that voice in your head? That negative voice in your head, growing up, in your mind, speaking to you when you were trying to make these changes. Because I can imagine, it's not easy to just say, I'm not who I'm not gonna be who I thought I was. I'm not gonna do what I was told. Well, how big was that voice telling you you're not gonna do it? You're not gonna make it.
It was big. Those voices became my affirmations. It was that big because what do you do when that same voice is playing at home? Then you go to school, it's playing by the same educators. Then it's being played by your peers. That's three different locations.
Three different locations. It's
So I
getting
tell
pretty
you,
crowded up here now.
it's kind of there to where all you could do is just affirm it. But it wasn't until my mentor again spoke something different. And one thing he told me was this: if you are the smartest one in your circle, you are in the wrong circle. And I had to check my circle. All of us were hurting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All of us were broken. And at the same time, he also said, you have to change what you're listening to and what you're downloading over your life because even the music you're listening to are prophecies for tomorrow. So I had to change the music I was listening to, and then I started changing what I was affirming over my life to where I started affirming who God said that I was.
There
And
we
the
go.
moment where I started affirming who God said that I was and getting to His word,
Yeah.
that voice became louder. That spirit played
That's real.
major um in my life to where when anybody trying to tell me something different, I couldn't believe it. I
Mm.
was already too convicted enough that who God said that I was, because He said His creation is good. When He was there creating us, it was good. He didn't see no
All the stuff.
accident, no blemish, no nothing. So
No.
I said, okay, let me go ahead and download who God said that I am. And once I started doing that, things started falling right into place.
Wow. 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 Dr. Josiah, thank you for saying that, by the way. Um, one of my favorite movies, and I talked about this in a previous podcast, is The Wiz or The Wizard of Oz. And one of the reasons why I love that movie so much is the overall message was that everything that you need, you have. You have the answer. You have, because the creator gave it to you. It's already inside of you. And earlier you were talking about, those different voices and those negative voices, and I said earlier that all those different affirmations, became real crowded, real loud in your head. It made me think about the scarecrow. In the
Mm,
story, there's the scarecrow. As we both know, he wanted to get down from where he was, and he wanted to walk with other men, right? And he in the story, the scarecrow had crows telling him, mind you, the funny thing about it was the crows were not human; they were birds, telling him that he couldn't walk, even though technically they weren't human, right? But anyway, the point I want to make was he had constant nagging, constant naysaying. He had constant negativity around him. And like you said earlier, their words, their opinions became affirmations for him, negative reinforcement to him, to where he couldn't cling on to the understanding. And mind you, in the Wiz version, the other version of the Wizard of Oz, that particular scarecrow, he was reciting very philosophical words and everything like that. So he had a lot of knowledge, but he wasn't believing in the knowledge that he had within him. And he just kept listening to what they were saying, and he never got down, and he never tried. And a lot of us, can relate to that. A lot of us have an environment of people who are constantly, unfortunately, pouring in these negative things, injecting these negative things, these pessimistic things that are preventing us from moving forward. And if I can as well add another example, there's a story in the Word, the Holy Scriptures, where the Messiah, he was telling the people that this individual was not dead, he was only sleeping. And when he said that, the people started laughing. They thought there was something wrong with the Messiah. They thought there was something, they thought he was, whatever, right? And what the Messiah did that I loved was he said, all right, y'all need to get out of here. And I'm paraphrasing, of course, but he said, y'all need to get out of here. He dismissed them. He said, get out the room. Shortly after, the same person that he said was just sleeping arose after he called them up. So how important, this brings us to my point. How important was it for you to dismiss those people, not just metaphorically, but physically in your life, for the sake of your breakthrough?
It was very important. Because if I didn't dismiss them, I would just be a duplicate of what society said that I was. I had to dismiss them in order for me to be authentic into who I am today.
Yeah, pretty much. Short and sweet, short and sweet. Absolutely, they had to go. They had to go. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't love them anymore. Doesn't necessarily mean that, if they absolutely needed, you couldn't be there for them. But as the saying goes, sometimes you gotta love them from a distance. You
Yep.
gotta love them from a distance, man. If anything, sometimes that's the best love you can do, man, because you have to protect your energy, you gotta protect, you have to guard your heart, as the word says, and you gotta keep it moving. All right. The next question I have for you, Dr. Josiah, and again, I appreciate your time so much, man. Uh, we know that you've gone through different things in your life. And, we know that in your words, that you have encountered people, particularly a mentor that helped bring you, to the next level of your life. And you've seen much success, both in your career and in your personal life. My question to you is, um, when was that exact, if you can recall, when was your exact, and I like to call this your uncaged moment, when you said, enough is enough. I gotta break free.
Yeah, that was after my third suicide attempt. After my third suicide attempt, after being tired, going through the motions, you know, you're not sick and tired of being sick and tired until you become sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I always say, if you know how it tastes like, why would you want to repeat it?
Yeah.
And I went through a summit called the Black and Brown Male Summit.
Okay.
Okay. And it happened at the college I graduated from called Highline College. In this summit, it was 500 plus black and brown youth, um, and black and brown educators pouring in to students, to
Mm,
youth. And they all looked like me. And they all had a story that resonated with me,
mm,
to where that's when I actually legitimately first cried and to start the journey of healing.
mm,
And once I saw that, Because for a long time, I thought it was illegal for black and brown folks to become educators because you never saw it. When we're talking about representation,
Yep, yep. I'm with
I
you.
never saw it in
All
my
right.
10-12 system. But I saw it, hey, NBA, NFL,
Well,
and that's why we see more often kids will have basketballs and footballs and soccer balls in their hands before a textbook because
mm, mm,
we don't see
right,
it.
right.
And that moment was the beginning where I started shedding tears, not tears of hurt, but tears of relief. Like, wow. And that was the moment where I said, yup, it's time.
That was your uncaged moment.
That was my uncaged moment.
That touched me, man. Thank you. Oof, man. There's something powerful when you're in a place of like-minded individuals, um, and you're given the opportunity to be vulnerable without fear of weaponization, without fear of it being essentially used against you, or being pointed at, or being accused of being soft or sensitive. It's powerful. And honestly, me, you were just talking about that before the podcast. I firmly believe that if more, especially us as brothers, of color, if we had more opportunities to be able to have that, just a place where we can be transparent, or a place where we can be, where we can essentially, let our hair down, for lack of better words, and be accountable to one another, and just if we have to shed a tear, to do that, because unfortunately, society doesn't cultivate an environment where we feel safe to be able to do that. Unfortunately, within some households, a lot of households, a lot of men don't feel that way. They can't be as transparent, or as emotional as they need to be at the time. So I'm glad that you had that uncaged moment, that uncaged experience. Um, if you can go back, let's say to when you were 7 years old, what would you tell young JP? What would you tell young JP?
It is okay to cry. I would tell young JP that someone values you and you're not by yourself.
That's good. That's good. Hmm. What message would you give to someone watching this or listening to this podcast right now, who is at their last, who is at the edge, and they are considering jumping off?
Mm. Mm. Message that I'll tell that individual is you are loved, you are honored, you're valued. I understand it might look like it at this moment, but if there's breath in your lungs, it's because there's more to you. You're not an accident. And when you breathe in, that's potential. And when you breathe out, that's purpose. And understand there's a tribe that values you, that sees you, and somebody hears you. And if in your last right now, I want you to call that hotline, a suicide hotline, one step away, 24 hours a day, that could give you the resources and help you need. So you can know and see and feel that you're not by yourself in this.
Dr. Josiah, thank you so much for being here. Um, for anybody who wants to connect with you, I'm going to leave all your information in the description and on this video itself. But feel free, let us know how can we connect with you first and foremost.
Yeah, you could go to josiasspeaks.com, JOSIAS speaks.com. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's coach with underscore Josias. So So COACHWITH _ my first name Josias. And you can also email me. It's Josias Jean Pierre no dash at all at gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you, talk to you. I can be a resource and help out any way that I can. What we can't do alone, we can always do together.
Together, absolutely. On the Haitian flag, it says "L'union fait la force," which means in unity there's strength.
Hmm.
And we also have another saying, "Un pile main chaque pas lourd," which means with many hands the load is not heavy. So, that resonates with me, man. That resonates with me. Before we go, I have to ask you: do you have any events that you have coming up? Any books? Any content? Any podcasts? Anything that we can see you on? Anything that we can help support at this time? Because we have to support you, brother.
Yeah, I have a new book coming out. It's a children's book called Dear Black Boy. Basically, it's a book of affirmations for our black boys.
Okay.
You might ask, why am I saying a Dear Black Boy? How come all kids? 'Cause I can see it coming right now. I can see it coming right now. And the reality is, you talk about the stigma and the messages. The message that given to black boys are very different from the message given
For
to any
sure.
other kids out there. And so I wanted this a book of affirmations. I also just launched a podcast called JB Podcast, where we're talking about stories of transformation, testimonials, and where people are getting raw and real with their journey. Because too many people see the praises, but they don't see the falls in the process. So it's gonna be stories of people who's gonna share their journey and be real with you, so you could have hope to endure when time gets difficult. Also.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Is that currently up as of yet? Are you actively recruiting? Not recruiting. Are you actively, interviewing right now, or what are you doing? Like, is that
It is.
where can
It
we
is.
find out?
Yeah, it's currently up. You can find it on Apple TV, Roku, and I'll start doing interviews soon. So it's up and live, but I'll start doing my first sessions pretty soon.
Okay, wonderful. So everybody, please stay tuned. Check that out. Dr. Jean Pierre, please check out his podcast. Check out his book that's coming out real soon. When does the book come out again? Doc, I'm sorry.
The book comes out July 15th. So as of right
July
now,
15th.
we're in pre-orders.
Okay. All right. So please, where can we pre-order it?
You can actually pre-order it on josiaspeaks.com.
Okay, phenomenal, phenomenal. So it's on josiaspeak.com. Go on ahead, y'all. Tap in, check it out. Check out Dr. Josias's book. Please check out everything that he has going on right now because as you've heard it, this guy has so much inside of him, so much testimony, so much power to share. And quite frankly, one of the things that I appreciate about him is that he is not hiding it. He's not harboring it. He's giving it freely, right? He wants to share. He wants to help as much as he can. And I definitely want to support. We should definitely support our brother. So with that being said, again, Doctor, we truly appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much. You're my brother from another mother. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that because we're on the podcast, bro. My familia, a fellow Zoe. I appreciate you, bro.
Right.
And listen, man, we'll definitely talk. For everybody else, thank you so much for partnering with us. Please feel free to like, share, subscribe for more wonderful content. And again, this is your partner in purpose. Peace and much love.